Well, there were times when I was in elementary school that I can remember where multiracial was not an option. And because my mother was black, my teacher would come up to me when I would ask her like, oh, well, what do I pick? And she would tell me to pick black. Because like there was also another incident where someone even asked me like, oh, well, how is your grandmother because she's white? My teacher asked me that in first grade.
You know, the advantages of being mixed or disadvantages of being mixed is that, you know, growing up you really don't know, you know, if like who's gonna accept you or not. And you know, I had a kind of struggle getting, setting my feet, like where, like who's gonna like me and who's gonna hang out with me and like and all that. But
I feel like people would assume that I was mixed. For example, people would assume that in high school because of the way that I talk sometimes. They would say, oh, you talk white. So they would be like, are you mixed? Yeah. I feel like when I got to college, it was more so, I don't think people assume that I was mixed here because it's so common.
Oh, I hate straightening my hair because I love showing off my ethnicity. I love showing off who I am, my curls. When I was younger, though, I grew up. Some years I was in Florida, some years I was in Ohio. But when I was in Ohio, it was like always pulling my hair in a ponytail, never wanting to let it show, not knowing what to do, not knowing the kind of products to use because they weren't there. And so I was always ashamed. A girl when I was in I think it was middle school, she would grab my hair in a ponytail and wave it and say, go Avon Lake, like a pom-pom. So I definitely was the outcast. But when it comes to high school and being that girl, oh, she's got curls, or oh, she's different, like that, I want to show that and emphasize that. But for anyone, I think no matter what you are naturally, you need to emphasize that and make sure that you make it pop.
When being around with my friends, I didn't know really what I was or what was going on, but to know now that it's okay to be both is a little bit different. Growing up, I had to put white, and then as I got older, I would put black, and then older I put other, because I learned that I'm both. And but it would take me a little bit to learn that, because I would have to learn a little bit more about myself before that could happen. And it was kind of tricky, but I got through it. And I felt like I used to be integrated with one culture more, and just because of how I was raised and who I was raised with, it took me a little while before I could, start to see the other side that was me actually.
So the conversation always comes up, what are you? Or an older white woman will always, oh, I love your hair. It's so beautiful. I wish my hair could do that. I wish it could curl and straighten too, this and that. But it's always been fluctuating in my life, whether I was accepted or I wasn't, or I was just that different girl. And it starts a conversation. It is a good teaching moment for me to tell them, I'm also part black, my dad is mixed, my grandfather's African. I like to go into that, but it's a good teaching moment to tell them what I've had to deal with in my lifetime.
I think I'm just kind of an anomaly. I think some people do, like, oh, I'm half black, half white, and that's like a lot easier in terms of, that's a more usual mix. So people are like, yes, there's like a mixed community of like black and white. Like I don't know anybody besides my brother and I, like personally or through friends, that know anyone that's like half Mexican, half Chinese. So it's like, I can take my pick. I think that people view me the way they want to view me, but.
And how do you think walking down the street, people, like, what do you think they'll be
people
like, oh, she's
never know.
Chinese?
So people always ask me, like, shamelessly ask me, what am I? Which is a very rude question, for the record. Don't ask that.
So that bothers you when people ask you what you are?
What are you? Like,
yeah.
It just, can you frame it a little nicer than, like, what am I? I can answer that a million ways. But.
And then, I started to get older, and my friends I would hang out with would be like, oh, are you white or black? And I'd be like, I'm white. And then my black friends would be like, no way, you're 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 all white, because like look at your hair, it's curly. Both your parents, blonde hair and blue eyes, and I have brown eyes, and I have freckles and they don't, and it was just really weird. And it wasn't till a little bit older then I realized, like, oh, I'm not really either or, I'm both.
Yes, so it's always like whenever I have my hair straight, no one asks me what I am, because I'm so light skin tone. But whenever I have my hair down, it's, oh, what are you? And it doesn't make me upset. It kind of helps me. It starts a conversation, and it makes me excited to talk about, my black side. That I do have some of that running through my blood. But yeah, it's always a question. It always comes up. But the way I carry myself, no matter where I'm at, my race really doesn't affect that, or who I'm around. So.
I do get annoyed because I feel like race doesn't matter. For example, like when I have children, I want my children to mark other whether they're mixed or not, because I don't feel like race is something that's important, because I feel like people start to put you in a box, or like people can undervalue you when they feel like you're black, or when they feel like you're white. They'll just start labeling you, which I don't feel. I feel like being labeled is connected to race sometimes.
I'm very proud of what I am, and the fact that there's not many of me. I think I turned out pretty great. I think my brothers and I have two brothers, turned out great. I think we look great. I think we have good athletic ability. We are smart, nice people, raised well by our parents. So I think that's all the things to feel positive about.
I think when I'm with my father's side of the family, who is Hispanic, I oftentimes have to yield more to that side of me, and the same goes when I'm with my mother's side, just because they don't really understand the cultural differences between each other. And in a lot of ways they're similar, but I don't think they as a people realize that, because they don't really go outside of their race very often.
I would definitely say that I'm proud to be mixed, because I feel like it gives me chances to immerse myself in different cultures, or different family traditions that my mom's side might not have that my dad's side does.
But it is also hard because they're two, in a way, if you want to view it that way, almost opposing cultures, in terms of they're very different. My dad and my mom are very different, personality people, and they're, I don't know, they're different ways of thinking. So that's difficult.
I do feel like I have more in common with my mother's side, which is my African American side, because there's just, I don't want to say this, but white people think different. They do. There's certain things, when I was younger, my grandma would have me outside playing in the dirt, no clothes, no shoes. My mother would never do that. So I definitely identify more with my African American side.
It works out. I was told when I was in high school, my freshman year, from a volleyball teammate, she told me that I was fake, because I could switch from the black community to the white community, and I could conversate between different groups and change, the way I talk, and I was just good in both situations. But it wasn't being fake, it was just being able to communicate. And so when I go to the white community, my white friends, I can talk to them about black culture. I can talk to them about, what privilege is, what oppression is. And then when I go to black community, I'm the white girl. So, I'm always a different one, but it's okay, because I just still feel accepted, because they're, the group that will always accept anyone, and love anyone for who they are. So it's definitely a good teaching moment, and it's honestly been a huge eye-opener being someone who's mixed, of different communities and different races, and being able to see, how this world works.
No, I think I know it comes with the territory. I've known that I don't look like exactly one thing or the other. I'm not just white, just black, or just Asian. It's clear that I'm mixed with something, so curiosity does come, and I understand that. And I'm more than happy to say I'm this unique mix of Chinese and Mexican that you probably have never seen.